The race north to the IOC UNESCO waypoint just to the southwest of Iceland had turned into a needle match for the front runners. The three new generation boats were fighting it out amongst themselves, but they were being chased very hard by a couple of older generation boats too. Sam Davis, Boris Herman and Kevin Escoffier were all putting pressure on the front runners. And the leg south piled on some pressure some more as the front runners tried to read the fickle conditions that lay ahead.
Yippee! First place on the tracker, a short moment of glory for Team Malizia and Sea Explorer Yacht Club de Monaco. And it's probably not gonna last long, maybe only 5 minutes, who knows, but the wind is very changeable here. It's clouds coming through and then I go at 20 knots and now it's nothing, 8 knots boat speed.
Unfortunately, when the breeze did increase, Boris Herman suffered a gear failure.
I hear like bzzz and looked up and the mainsail came down and now it looks like this. I don't know exactly what happened, but something broke. So either a part of the rail or the thing that holds it to the mast, to the rail. The head of the main is attached with this thing, and something broke. So I'm happy in a way that it happens now. This would be the worst nightmare in my life to have that during the Vendée.
Meanwhile, the course had been shortened by moving the last mark closer to the finish, but it hadn't changed the level of intensity in the fleet. And it is that impressed the experts so much. Although it was a late decision to run the race, the Vendée Arctique was always going to be a test run for the Vendée Globe in November. But few expected the race to be quite so close and certainly nowhere near as intense. The final few days on the 550-mile leg to the finish was a perfect example of this. Jeremy Bayou's Charal overtook Charlie Darlin's Apivia at the last waypoint. But then Thomas Royan, aboard Linked Out, came past the two of them to take the lead, but not for long. As the wind started to change direction, it was Charal that got the upper hand once again and took the lead. Apivia got back into second, and Linked Out was back in third. And that's how it finished, a spectacular end to a 2,500 mile race.
Ah, c'était vraiment intense quoi, ce parcours qu'on n'avait jamais fait, l'inconnu du parcours, l'inconnu de savoir si toi et ton bateau êtes déjà prêts pour le Vendée, parce que c'est demain.
So what have we learned from the Vendée Arctique? Well, the new boats have certainly ironed out some of the shortcomings that they had earlier on, where they're a little bit weak in the light weather and considered to be a bit weak upwind. Not anymore. Having said that, the new generation never really got the conditions to show us what they can do. On a reach with a decent bit of breeze, I think they're going to be rocket ships. Well, what else have we learned? Well, Charal was the first of the new generation to be launched, and as such has had a bit more time on the water than many of the others. But that's just pushed her further up the learning curve, and that could prove to be very valuable indeed as the clock counts down towards the start of the big one. We've also seen just how smart a sailor Jeremy Bayou is. Why wouldn't he be? He's won the Figaro Solo 3 times. So finally, what of the older generation boats? Well, I think we've seen that they're not so slow after all. Sure, they're going to have a bit of a disadvantage in the optimum conditions that see the new generation fly, but if it's light weather and upwind, then they're not so far behind. Plus, you could argue they're more proven. So if the new boats do break, the older generation could well be close enough to pounce. But the standout performance for me was Sam Davies aboard Initiative's Cur. This is a much older generation boat that has been modified. It does have new generation foils, but it hasn't been able to be optimized in quite the same way as the brand new boats, and as a result, it's a bit heavier. The same can be said for Kevin Escoffier on PRB. They're both going to be among the names to watch come the start in November. The bottom line is the next Vendée Globe is shaping up to be really quite a spectacular race.